Eric's proudest achievement, though, might be reinvigorating and restoring the core mission to what he calls the conscience of the building, and that's the Civil Rights Division. He has been relentless against attacks on the Voting Rights Act, because no citizen, including our service members, should have to jump through hoops to exercise their most fundamental right.
I have loved the Department of Justice ever since as a young boy. I watched Robert Kennedy prove during the Civil Rights Movement how the department can and must always be a force for that which is right. I hope that I have done honor to the faith that you have placed in me, Mr. President, and to the legacy of all those who have served before me.
Attorney General Eric Holder announcing that he will step down. That announcement coming at the White House, as you saw right there today. He'll stay on until a replacement is named. Let's bring in our panel from Washington. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Ron Fournier, senior political columnist of National Journal, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Ron, we've heard that this was going to happen. What about the timing here and the effect on this administration?
Well, the timing is obvious. They're doing this just before the midterms so that the president has a chance to get somebody nominated and hopefully, for their sake, confirmed before the Republicans win the Senate, which is, as you know, Brett, is a very likely possibility. The impact is the president loses his lightning rod, somebody who's been deflecting and injecting much of the criticism that would otherwise go to the president. And he loses something that's very rare in Washington, and that is a loyal friend.
Yeah, Judge, look back, if you would, at Eric Holder. Obviously, he's very controversial. Republicans have said numerous things about him. He's also been censured by the House over Fast and Furious. Thoughts about his career as he gets ready to end it as Attorney General?
Every time that Barack Obama has bent, broken, avoided, or evaded the Constitution or federal law, Eric Holder has been at his side, cheering him on, providing intellectual cover, and purporting to give him legal advice authorizing what the president wanted to do. From allowing the president to kill Americans, from allowing the president to spy on Americans, from personally authorizing the invasion of privacy of our colleague James Rosen, from seizing property from people who weren't even charged with crimes, Eric Holder has been behind all of it. He is probably the least faithful to the Constitution of any president in modern times, and he doesn't regret any of it.
Judge, I want to ask you one quick legal question about something that came up today about the possible replacement, that it may happen in a lame duck session of Congress after the election, the possibility. Senator Ted Cruz putting out a statement saying allowing Democratic senators, many of whom will likely have just been defeated at the polls, to confirm Holder's successor would be an abuse of power that should be countenanced, rather. Thoughts?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the president does that. As Ron pointed out, the president desperately does not want to have to appoint a nominee who must pick off some Republican votes, which he may have to do if this happens after January of next year. The vote would be lawful anytime up to the dissolution of Congress, so he could do this anytime up to Christmas and legally get away with it.
All right, Charles, thoughts on the day and Eric Holder in general?
I thought I was going to be tough on Eric Holder until I heard the judge. So here's the moderate view, which is that he has politicized the office in a way that I think many of us, liberal and conservative, will in the future regret. I mean, there are two ways to treat the office: as an instrument of policy, a way to achieve your own ends and goals, or as the person who upholds the law as impartially as he can. It is perfectly honorable to dedicate your life to racial justice as you see it, to advance certain causes, as he calls the Civil Rights Division, the conscience of the Department of Justice. But there are other places in life and administrations in the world where you can do that. When you are the Attorney General of the United States, you have to subordinate that to what the law is. And he hasn't done that. He's been after an agenda, and if the Constitution was in the way, he trampled on the Constitution. I think, and there are many examples. We talked about the fact that he was held in contempt over withholding evidence in Fast and Furious, over the way they rifled through the James Rosen emails under a supposed prosecution, which Holder had said that they would never do. And what has happened to the great Justice Department investigation of Lois Lerner and the scandal in the IRS? We have heard nothing out of that. That is stonewalling, and he's been the instrument of that. A political attorney general,
Ron,
that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Ron, obviously, from the two other panelists there, the Attorney General has been a lightning rod in Washington, but he's also a close friend of the President, and he has really led the way on this civil rights issue, taking the lead in Ferguson, leading this investigation into police departments. What does it mean for this President?
Well, it would be, you know, like asking what would happen if John F. Kennedy didn't have LBJ, or if Nixon didn't have Mitchell. An attorney general in this country is someone who is as political as they are legal. My problem with Holder isn't what he's been doing to carry the president's water on racial issues. That seems to be consistent with an attorney general, the political part of the political part of that job. My problem is what he's done, as the judge said, with civil liberties, seizing the records of the Associated Press, the telephone records of the Associated Press, criminalizing or threatening to criminalize journalism at Fox News and at the New York Times. You know, I would like today to be able to. We should at some point be able to recognize the fact that he has served for 6 presidents, both Republican and Democrat, and we should give him credit for that service. And we should, I'd like to see us have his nominee nominated and confirmed in a reasonable, non-political way. I'm dreaming. But I think we have to be a little careful about pretending that this is the first attorney general who's ever been political.
Well, I wouldn't say he's the first, but
Judge,
certainly it's not
Ron,
a good
Charles,
tradition.
I think Charles would like to push back on
thank you very much for playing the Brady Bunch boxes today. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.